Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. Let's wait a little bit um, to see how many people we are going to have, and then we can get started. Hello. Say hi in the chat and say uh, your location. I'm gonna start sharing my screen in a sec. Ocean side, California. Alrighty. I'm gonna share my entire screen. That's gonna be better. Perfect. Hello from Montreal. Hello from Buenos Aires. That's great to hear. People from all over the world. Are there anyone from Madrid, from Spain, at least? I have here the on my side the chat. All right, we have one from Madrid. Hello, welcome everyone. We're gonna wait a little bit and then we can get started with this session. Yeah, from people from Pakistan as well. All right. I'm gonna, before we start, let me share. Give me one sec. I want to share something with you all. Members, events, no. Create event. Invite people here. Okay. All right. We have 16 people. I'm gonna share this link over there and then I'm gonna show this in the stream. All right, so let's get started. Well, welcome everyone. It's awesome to like see people from all over the world. We have people from San Jose, California, Montreal, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Madrid, Pakistan. So this event is basically co-host event from multiple GDGs. We have GDG Madrid, we have GDG Montreal, and probably more GDGs. And there's new GDG that is a GDG online. Okay, for all the things online like this event, basically to promote all the content that is generated online. Okay, so this event, this talk is part of the hackathon talk series. Okay, I'm gonna show here the link to the Discord channel, to the Discord server, sorry, for the official Google developer community. Okay, if you go there, you will check that there are like a bunch of channels, and there's one channel called GDC Gemini Hackathon. Okay, we are running an online hackathon. In fact, this week is the last week, and we have like really cool prizes. Okay, the idea is to build something in teams. That means that we need a team of a minimum of 2 people. That's the bare minimum. and you can submit your idea, and the idea should be developed during the time of that hackathon. Okay, and the main idea should include like things related to Gemini, LLMs, and other things, but mainly Gemini. And like we want to see like use cases that you have developed during the hackathon about Gemini and how to use it. Okay. So we have four talks. This is the third one, and we have another one this Thursday. Okay. Um. So yeah, that's like the promotion part of the hackathon. If you guys are not in the Discord server, go check it out. I think it's um quite cool to see like what is there, and you can find like also like not only the hackathon, but there are like a bunch of different channels per like technology, and you can chat with other developers. You can like even create like new projects, learn from your peers. Is a very good Discord server, probably one of my favorites. And with that being said, I'm Xavi. I'm working as a head of cloud infrastructure, and today we are going to talk about how to build conversational AI experiences powered by LLMs. As you may know, we have had like like conversational AI for a while. Like talking about natural language understanding, like having a bunch of things related to chatbots, assistants, but thanks to the large language models and thanks to the generative AI, all the things are just like change. And yeah, it's really like great to see like how like, because I can say the conversational AI field was kind of as I think stale, like for 10 years, since 2010 until this LLM explosion 2020. And right now, like all the things related to conversational AI is purely like amazing. And that's what we are gonna cover today. um Let me share here. Okay. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on GitHub, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at Shavidop. And my company, the one I work for, is Voiceflow. And in terms of recognitions, these are like my main recognitions, which are I am a GitHub star, a Google Developer Expert in Machine Learning in the subcategory of Conversational AI, and Alexa Champions. Let me remove the link. Perfect. So what we are gonna see today is basically we are gonna talk about AI, of course, but with a focus on conversations and conversational AI with generative AI. We are gonna go layer by layer. These are the like the three main layers that we are gonna touch today. Then we are gonna have a quick demo. Then the future, because like if you think that we are living in the future is even more exciting, and there are like new approaches and new ways of creating conversations using LLMs, which are amazing, and we will cover them. And then we will have some sort of resources and Q&A for all of you. So before we jump on conversational AI, the key layers and all that stuff, let's get a little bit, like an overview of the generative AI itself. What are large language models? Let's get started, and let's start with this. So basically, are ML algorithms that can recognize, predict, and generate human languages. They are pre-trained, and they are like, as the name said, like really large and huge language models with tens to hundreds of billions of parameters. The corpus that has been used is like enormous as well. And then sometimes there are like fine-tuned LLMs that we will see. for a specific task. Like I don't know, like for instance, if you are using Copilot, that is an LLM fine-tuned for code generation. I think Gemini has one for code generation as well, Gemma as well, and so on. So there are like specific fine-tuned LLMs that are fine-tuned for those specific tasks. And yeah, basically when we talk about large language models, how to use it and all these things, we are talking about generative AI. Okay. In terms of the large language models, which are like the most famous ones, the ones that we all heard, we have Llama, Llama 2, Llama 3, we have Imagen from Google, Gemini, Anthropic Cloud, OpenAI GPT-4, and many more that are coming. And I'm pretty sure that the big corporations are training the next gen of LLMs, and we will see them throughout this year and probably in 2025. What are the LLMs that we can see online right now? We have the generative text one, which is basically you specify a prompt and it generates text for you. There's another one that I is fine tuned for chat, basically to focus on multi-tone conversations with, like having or getting or maintaining or keeping the session context, text to image, like DALI 3, like Imagen, like all of these are text to image LLMs. There are also like API for text and images, like all these things, all these LLMs are available through APIs basically. And that means that with basically one call or two calls, you can interact with an LLM and start generating content. That this is one of the main things that we have seen in the generative AI world, and thanks to the LLMs, thanks to OpenAI, thanks to also to Google with Gemini, that the APIs for these generative AI models are like super easy to use, and they democratize the ML for everyone. Back in the past, when we are talking about not about generative AI models, but about classic models, the knowledge that you had to have to interact with them are like quite high. You will need to have a knowledge about mathematics, about neural networks, etc. And right now with generative AI and with these easy to use APIs, you can just go there and call an API and start generating things, which is amazing. What are the other foundation models that we have? The speech to text, that basically transforms a speech into text, and then the code generation, the one that I mentioned, like Copilot, for example. Okay, so these are like the main ones. Of course, there are many more. You can go to Hugging Face. You can go to Vertex AI Model Garden, to AWS Bedrock, like, and you will find like more more Gen AI models, more LLMs, and fine tune LLMs. So yeah, but these are like the ones that are more trendy, or the ones that we are seeing more these days. So the key layers, we are gonna go one by one, but basically what we are gonna go is from bottom to scratch, to top. Sorry, from the scratch basically to an LLM power user, I would say. So the first one is the AI foundation layer. Okay, the AI foundation layer is basically the large language models. When we are just interacting with the large language models, we are creating a conversation just with the LLM. Okay, then the next step is the AI data layer, where, on top of the large language model, we create our knowledge bases. That means that we are gonna add some sort of knowledge when we are requesting information. Okay, we will see all of them in a bit. And then at the very top, what we have is the AI orchestration layer. When we are creating like complex conversation and when we are focusing on user experience, the experiences that we have created in the data layer and in the foundation layer are basically like just like simple interactions, like a frequent ask question bot, like these kind of things. And then we need an orchestrator, we need that layer to create really complex and um, conversations and user experiences, okay, powered by LLMs as well. So let's get started with the first one, which is the AI foundation layer. As I said, in this layer, what we have is the large language model. Basically, you create a prompt, and then that prompt goes through the large language model. That could be, for instance, when you're interacting with ChatGPT or with Gemini or just with the APIs, and then you have an output. Um, you can call a large language model itself, a fine-tuned model, and like all the things that are involved here are like also prompt engineering, where you are testing as well and designing the prompts, like what is the specific prompt that give me the output that I want. And yeah, everything is like easy to use. There are no complex conversation, it's just a prompt and an output. You can probably like um keep the context of the conversation, like, okay, this is I want this, and then the output is this, and then on the context you can specify the context of the conversation is this and this. Okay, but it's just like simple prompt output, input output. Okay, but the LLMs, the models were trained at certain point and they are not up to date. Okay, so for instance, in this case, when we are requesting some information about the world record, this when you are asking for the world record for diving, the LLM will tell you, okay, in March 2021, Molchanov dove 80 meters. But that's wrong, because that was at that time when the LLM was trained. But what happened right now in 2023, um, Molchanov beats the record again. So this means that the information in the LLMs are not up to date. Okay, and we have to know this, and we have to make sure that the outputs are valid. Okay, basically validating them. So for that, we have our data layer, which are what we call our knowledge bases. And here is when we introduce a new probably you heard about this so many times, but we are introducing um, a new process called retrieval augmented generation. Basically, what we are gonna do is we are gonna, for instance, let's say that we're building a chatbot that like is telling you information about the world records, for example, and you have the latest, like your corpus of data, or you have like a book with the latest version of the world record winners. Okay, what we are gonna do basically is split that. Imagine that that's a book, okay, or a PDF, a document. We are gonna split that document in chunks and in little pieces, like paragraphs. There are like multiple techniques to create those chunks, and then we are gonna call a model, and the model is gonna send us like vectors, okay, those chunks in a vector with a vector value, okay. In the vector, what we are gonna see is not just like 3 dimensions or 4 dimensions. The vectors are like very long vectors, and basically what it tells you is the chunks that are like more closest to the others, you know. The model that gives us the vectors is called embeddings, okay, and we store those vectors in a vector database. That's why the vector database became so trendy right now. The vector database were there since a while back, but the use case was not for this specifically. Was more for, you know, like geo and all those things. But right now, like, it's more and more trendy because the vector database with embeddings and the chunks and, you know, like all this retrieval augmented generation process is being in use in a bunch of places. So basically this is how like Google search, YouTube, Google Play, like the search and recommend engine works, okay. So if we go to the to this flow, I think this will like show you the entire process. Basically, the query using natural language, like, can you help me choose the most suitable mobile plan? uh, it will go to the knowledge base, okay. The query itself is gonna be translated or is gonna go through the same embeddings model, okay. We can augment the query with additional user information as well. Let's say that, you know, like, this is a virtual agent and you have the conversational history, or you have like some relevant information from the current user. You can augment the query and give even more information, okay. So for example, in this case, we have augmented the query. Instead of like, can you help me choose the most suitable mobile plan, we have augmented the query saying, okay, this user is age 16 and data usage right now is more than 50 gigabytes per month, for example, okay. So this query, in the augmented query, we'll go to the embeddings model. We are gonna have the query split as well, and converted in a vector, okay, with a value. And then we are gonna search for relevant documents, okay. Basically, when we are doing the search, we are getting the closest chunks that we have stored in our knowledge base to the closest ones to the user query, okay. Then we got everything. We have the question, and then we have the relevant chunks, the most relevant chunks. That's something. There are also like techniques that, you know, like you can play with to see like how the search in the in the vector database is gonna do, how or how many, or yeah, like, which ones do you want to search, like top 3, top 5, top 10. So when you have the relevant documents, then you have the query, the user query, and also the user query augmented. You send that question, the documents, to the LLM, and then the large language model, what it's gonna do is basically generate a personalized response. Okay. You can also specify like a summarization, for example. Like, you can have here in point number 4, like a specific prompt, like, okay, this is the question, this is the relevant documents from my knowledge base, please summarize, or please give me this information in, you know, like in a tone that, you know, like, makes, I don't know, like, you know, like, you can choose the tone that you want. All these things can be set in a prompt, okay. And then at the very end, um this is like the output that we are going to have. Okay, so if we instead of asking for, you know, like a data plan, instead of doing that, if we search for which is the, or who is the, you know, like the world champion, or the person that has the record, the world record, um with the, you know, like, remember the example that we had before, it's gonna be kind of the same. Okay, it's gonna request to a knowledge base. Remember that we are gonna upload to a knowledge base a book that has, like, I don't know, like the 2023 winners, for example, and then we will retrieve the most important or relevant documents, and it will create the output. Okay, so with that being said, now we have talked about the foundation layer, which is basically interacting only with the LLM. Of course, we can send the conversational the conversation history. We can augment, you know, like our queries with giving more information from the user, but at the end it's just pure interaction, you know, like simple interactions, basically, you know, like input output, just pure basic. Then we have the data orchestration, sorry, the data layer with the knowledge base, which is basically, okay, we are gonna give you this input, we are gonna search in a knowledge base, and then with the information or the context from the knowledge base plus the user query, the query can be also augmented with the conversation history, with you know, like relevant information from the user. Then we have the that goes through an LLM, and then we have the output generated. Okay, the generated output, sorry. But I'm still seeing that these are like quite basic, you know, like interactions, you know, like one single turn interaction, and also like what happened, for instance, if we want to create, I don't know, like a chatbot or an assistant for a bank, or for, I don't know, like for a pizza delivery place. With the examples that we had, probably is not enough. It's just, you know, like I ask something and I have an answer. I ask something and I have an answer. But the conversation, you know, like are more complex, like those things. So for that, we need an AI orchestration layer, where we are gonna basically design our conversations using LLMs and creating complex conversations, complex agents, complex assistants. Okay, so this is basically what I explained. On the left, we have the LLMs, which are basically, you know, like pure input output input output, and then on the right we have the virtual agents. Basically, when we create virtual agents is when we want to focus, or want to achieve like user goals, you know, like in a bank assistant, when you want to make a bank transfer, for example, or in the pizza place example, when you want to make an order. Okay, so that's basically what means the, you know, or what is the main difference between the LLMs, or LLMs plus knowledge base, and virtual agents. Okay, it is a way more complex uh, way of creating conversations. So if we go to the Google Cloud platform, what we have is here, right in the middle, our orchestrator, okay, which is Dialogflow CX. Okay, when Dialogflow CX is basically a conversation platform that you can go there and create conversation as flows. Okay, in those flows, you can call the LLMs, you can create your knowledge bases, but at the end, you are gonna be transition from one flow to another, or from each flow, yeah, can have different pages, which are like nodes, and you can transition from one node to another, or from one node to another flow, for example. Okay, basically, the Dialogflow CX is your state machine manager. Okay, so as I said, on Dialogflow CX, you can create your data stores in on Vertex AI Conversations. So there you can upload your documents, and you can call large language models. You can call Gemini, for example. I will show you how is it called in Dialogflow CX. And then the Dialogflow CX, you can create integrations from multiple platforms like telephony, messaging, CRM, data sources, API gateway, like whatever, like WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever. This is how Dialogflow CX looks like. As I said, you have here. I will show you in the demo, but here on the left, what you have is the flows, and then this each node is called page. Okay, and you can transition from one page to another, basically from one node to another, or directly from one page to a different flow. Okay, in these pages, you can call data stores, you can call an LLM. Okay, I will show you an example in the demo, but yeah, like as you can see, there is when we are talking about convergence and divergence, right? With the LLM, the conversation could diverge, like you can ask whatever you want, and the conversation could diverge without, like without reaching any goal, without achieving any goal. And then with this approach, you can still use the LLMs, like to do retrieval augmented generation, to, like to call the LLM directly, call a webhook, whatever you want, but the conversation, the complex conversations can be designed, created there, and there's a convergence because you are gonna, or you are pushing to have like a main goal, to achieve a goal. Okay. So that's I will show you the platform in a bit. And these are the generative AI on Google Cloud, the generative AI experiences in terms of like conversational AI. Um, on the left, you have the more deterministic, and on the right, we have the more generative solutions. Okay, the more deterministic, of course, is the Dialogflow 6 without using any generative AI feature. You have the Dialogflow 6 itself. It is super deterministic, and you just go from one page to another until you achieve a goal, or until you like go through the happy path. Then we have the data store agent, which is the knowledge basis. You will create data stores where you are gonna upload your documents, and then from there, the data store itself is your knowledge base, and you can link that knowledge base to Dialogflow CX. Then we have the generative fallback. The generative fallback is a feature that is also on Dialogflow CX that you can use, and you can customize your prompt. But basically, instead of saying like when something is not in your agent, like for instance, let's say that we are talking about, like the bank agent, okay, and you are asking for something to order a pizza. Instead of saying, sorry, I did not understand you, you can use a prompt having the conversational history and putting that as a context and say, okay, I don't know how to order a pizza. I know that you were in this part of this flow, like you were making a transfer. Do you want still, like make this transfer or these kind of things? Okay, so that's the generative fallback. It's basically to give more powerful responses when there's like a deviation in the conversation. Okay, to try to, like, to push the user to the happy path back again. Then we have the generators. The generators is also is part of the Dialogflow CX, which are basically a tool and a no-code tool to call an LLM. It's basically you have a prompt with some parameters that you can set, and that are basically variables, and you can call an LLM. Okay. Then the Gemini API, you can call the Gemini API at any time. You can have, for instance, like a webhook and call the Gemini API. And then we have the Vertex AI agents. We will talk about the Vertex AI agents in the future, but basically these are agents that are no flows and are fully managed by Gemini. Okay, this is the most generative conversational experience on Google Cloud, and I wanna show you that. Okay, so in this case, now we talk about Google Cloud Platform. Let's talk about another platform. That platform is called Voiceflow. In this case, the solution is quite similar, but is more user friendly. What we have is mainly the same. We have Voiceflow as a conversation design tool. We have the data stores. It's called a document store instead of data store. Okay, but basically we have knowledge bases there. And then we have large language models like GPT-4, Anthropic Cloud, and Gemini. And the integrations are the same. We have the telephony, messaging, CRM, like whatever. It's just an API that you can use, and it will work for you. Okay. This is how Voiceflow looks like. We will show you in the demo, but basically those are like the how's it called, it is based in the same concept, like conversation as flows. You can have flows, and also reuse flows. And it allows you to create complex conversations. Within those flows, you can call large language models as well, because there are like built-in options that you can use for, or to call LLMs, or to call the knowledge base, for example. Okay, I will show you in the demo as well. So we have here, like in the same spectrum from deterministic to generative, we have the canvas, which is the, like the place that we are gonna design our conversations. We have the knowledge base as well. We are gonna be able, like to upload our documents, and like create that knowledge base using retrieval augmented generation. We have generative blocks. In this case, remember on Dialogflow 6, we call it pages. In this case, it's called blocks. We have blocks that we can drag and drop and start calling LLMs. Super easy. I will show you in the demo. And then the LLM API itself, like again, you can call the LLM at any time using the Voiceflow functions. Okay. And last but not least, we have seen the Google Cloud platform. We have seen Voiceflow platform. And what happened if I want to use an open source software? So here is what I will use if I was designing like a conversational design platform. Basically, the document store, you can use the quadrant vector database. You can use LangChain as a conversational design, and also as the tool to create the vector database when you are uploading documents to your quadrant vector database. And then the LLMs, you can still use using LangChain on or open source Rasa. You can still call the large language models, and also the integrations are like there are many integrations that you can use. In this case, the first two tools that I share are basically like uh, two click things, and you have everything deployed, you have everything up and running. And in this case, you will need to deploy all the infrastructure pieces, like the quadrant vector database, the LangChain microservice, like develop a bunch of, like custom code, Python, Golang, or JavaScript, because I know that LangChain is available in multiple languages, but you will need to be the one that are maintaining the infrastructure and building your own conversational AI platform. Okay, that's the only caveat, okay, of this. But sometimes it is worth to do it, and also when you have like some sort of like privacy requirements and all that stuff, you can do it with this. All right, so demo time. Let's get started first with Dialogflow CX. With Dialogflow CX, the use case that I want to show you today is basically a Flutter chatbot companion, basically. If I click to, this is the default start flow and this is the start page, okay? In any page, you have handlers, okay? Basically are like events that can be triggered in a conversation, okay, in a specific state of the conversation, and that will make the transition to another page or to another flow, okay? So here there's a handler called a data store handler, and if I click on here, I have a data store linked. Okay, you can create a data store by clicking on here on see all data stores. Okay, if you click on this, you will go to the agent builder page. In that agent builder page, you just need to create a new data store. I have already one created, which is Flutter. Okay, what I did is basically I download all the Flutter documentation page, and I uploaded here in a bucket, and then I created the data store. As you can see, everything is unstructured data. You can choose from extractor data. Imagine that is JSON, and the JSON format is the same always. In this case, are just PDF, right? So that's like that's unstructured data. You can specify the processing configuration. You can choose different parsers. You can add exemptions for different file formats, and then like the check of the activity and import data here. And you can also import data or purge all the data. It is fully indexed, okay, and it is ready to use. So once that is linked, basically this is like like a use case that I'm using for this demo. But here on Dialogflow CX, you can test your agents, okay? If you go to test your agents, and for instance, let's say that we want to create a list view. How can I create a list view? It will tell you to display a list of string, render each string as a widget using list view builder. In this example, display each string on its own line. And then you have the custom payload that tells you, okay, the relevant document to your question is this one, which is work with long list flutter.pdf. Okay, basically is the page that talks about a long list, which is this page, for example. Okay, we can like, for instance, like ask for different things, like let's say for the let's say that I want to create a data source. Okay, how can I create for my list view? This you need a data source. For example, your data source might be a list of messages, series short, or products in a store. Most of the time, this data comes from an internet or a database. And here, the input is should be the same. Work with long list, because I asked something from that page. If we go to manage, to integrations, and if we go to the Dialogflow Messenger one and click on manage, we can try this here. You see the bubble here, and we can ask the same, like what is list view, and the rich content that you saw, it will turn in a widget, in a custom button, basically. Okay, that's why you are seeing in the simulator like the JSON. That's for debugging purposes. But when you enable the Dialogflow Messenger, which is the classic bubble chat, that you can copy this snippet and paste it in your website, it will see like this. Okay, this bubble can be also like you can change the CSS, the HTML. You can change all those things. Okay, so we are doing here retrieval augmented generation, basically. There are remember that I was talking about generators, and I was talking as well as the generative fallback. So to enable the generative fallback, basically is in the no match, which is the fallback event. You just need to click the generative fallback here, and what it is gonna do is, instead of saying these super classic and useless things, it will try to, like, using the prompt that you can tweak. I will show you in a bit, to push the user back to the happy path. Okay, and then for the default welcome intent, instead of, for instance, like, let's say that, like, the users is, or sorry, the agent is, like, saying hi, how are you doing, hello, how can I help you, and all these kind of things. Instead of doing this or saying this every single time, you can use a generator. You can add a generator, create a new generator, and this could be greetings. And instead of, like, writing here like hi, how are you, you can say, like, say hi to the user, like if you were Yoda, for example. And then for the model, you can choose Gemini Pro, for example. You can also tweak the temperature and all these kind of things, and you can click on save. If we retest our agent, this handler is going to be triggered with the default welcome intent. Okay, the default welcome intent is triggered when I click all these things. Okay, so let's say, hey, good day, what can I do for you today? Okay, so this did not trigger. Okay, because I did not add the generator. Sorry about that. Output greeting. I need to add this here and remove all of this. Okay. Basically, I store the output from the LLM and I set it to the agent says. Okay. So if I retry, greetings, John Padawan. May the force be with you. Okay, and here you are seeing like some kind of stars That means that contains AI generated text. Okay. So there are conversations, and the LLMs are there and are helping you to create better and more human conversations instead of the classic, chatbots and all that stuff. This was the demo for Dialogflow. If we go to Voiceflow, is kind of the same. As I told you, we have the, like here are blocks and here are like components, okay? Like they call it topics instead of flows. You have like balance, transfer, different flows. And then you have like here different like two AI blocks, okay? If I click on here, well, I am using that here already basically, but you can just, like drag and drop as I did, and create a prompt, respond using prompt, respond using memory, or respond using memory and prompt. Memory is basically the conversation history, okay? And memory and prompt is giving this prompt and the memory. You can give, if you use the memory, the prompt is like the default one, and then here you can use the memory and also the prompt, okay? Or instead of just like calling an LLM with this prompt, you can also preview this. Welcome, trainer, to the incredible world of Pokemon. What are the extraordinary adventures await? In this case, well, this is a Pokédex that calls the Pokemon API. And in the prompt settings, you can search and like choose whatever you want. You have Gemini Pro is coming soon, but you can like test with GPT-4, for example. In this case, is the output is different, and you can call a knowledge base instead of using or calling a prompt. You are calling the knowledge base. As you can see, the tools, the Dialogflow CX and Voiceflow, are quite similar. Okay. So here, if I click on this, we can ask about. There you go. And this time, the prompt is even different than the other ones. And I can say, tell me about Pikachu. And this, sorry, the content is info intent. Which Pokemon is Pikachu? It should work because I tried this before. Which Pokemon Pikachu? It is not working now. These things are classic from like the live codings. No worries, but basically what it will try is to using the API step, the API block, sorry, it will call the Poke API. I highly recommend to use it. It is basically a RESTful Pokemon API, and it will retrieve information from the Pokemon that you are searching for. Okay, and it will tell you what to do. And that's pretty much it from the demo. Let's continue with the presentation. What's next? The feature. So as you saw, like we are living the feature right now, but like I need more. Okay, so what's coming next? We have the Vertex AI agents. In this case, instead of having or designing conversation as flows, also on Google Cloud, in the part of the Vertex AI conversation, what we have are what they call playbooks. Okay, basically you have to specify the playbook name, the goal of that playbook, and then instructions. So basically, let's say there is a bank transfer or an order to a pizza order. You have to specify here like pizza order and then goal. Your goal is to collect all the required information to make a pizza order. And then the instructions, basically you are gonna greet the customer, you're gonna ask for their name, you're gonna ask for blah blah blah, you're gonna ask for blah blah blah, and you're gonna store all this information here. And then there are tools that you have to create. Tools are two. There are two types of tools. The first one is the Open API spec tool. Basically, you using a Open API, you can create a tool and call it from here in the same way that you are seeing here agent call on book appointment. You will specify tool and then the name of your tool. Okay, and it will call an API, for example. Okay, let's say that to make the reservation, you need to call an API. You will create a tool with the Open API spec, and you will specify here once the information is completed, please call this tool, and you will call the tool. Well, the agent will call the tool for you. You can transition from playbooks from one playbook to another. Like for instance, let's say that this playbook, the main thing is like to do the order to order a pizza, but let's say that the I don't know, like the your pizza place it's a co-working as well, and you can make a reservation for a table. Okay, you can specify if the user asks for a table for the working, please transition to this other playbook, and you will transition to the next playbook. Okay, it's like the flows, but here is purely managed by the LLM. The second tool that you can create that I completely forgot to mention is a data store. Okay, you can specify here if the user asks for the available pizzas, you can call this data store, and that data store could be the pizza catalog that you have right now, for example. Okay, this is pretty cool, pretty new, because the LLM is the one that is managing the conversation. Here's Gemini. Let's say that you have Gemini itself, then you have Gemini functions, which are like a way of calling like external APIs for Gemini, and then we have Vertex AI Conversation, Vertex AI agents that has Gemini functions, and a conversation itself. It's pretty cool. I would suggest for you guys to give it a try. And then the Alexa LLM. Here, the concept is mainly the same. This is from like from Amazon, from Alexa, but basically what you have is basically the same. You receive an event, you construct a prompt, and then the LLM is the one that predicts the next API call. Okay, if the API is predicted, for instance, like on the Vertex AI agents, we have like a tool. Okay, that should I call an LLM? If yes, like the LLM itself is the one that calls the API, and it manage the conversation. It is pretty new and pretty amazing. So conclusions, basically, like test your agents, create your agents, make sure that you are testing your LLMs, because as you may know, the LLMs hallucinate, verify, validate all the data, the documents that you are doing or you are pushing to your knowledge bases when you are doing the retrieval augmented generations. Make sure that the quality of your agents are good. But basically, the main thing here in this slide is continue testing and make sure that your data is relevant. And key takeaways, as I said at the very beginning, is like use the LLMs to have like better human experiences. Like use if you want to create like like complex experiences, use like the AI orchestration layer with LLMs that will help you to have better customer experiences, basically. And don't use purely the LLMs itself. It is important also to understand the fundamentals of the generative AI. And these are the learning resources, and that's it. Do you have any questions? Drop your questions there. If not, you can all ping me in on Discord. Let me share the Discord. If there are not any questions, thank you very much for joining today from all over the world. And I hope this session helps you in the in your journey during this new Gen AI era. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and see you online.